Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Making It Monday. How lovely that we've all got together again for another Monday, making a lovely project. And I think you've all had a chance to download it. It's Buddy, so we're going to be making Buddy this week, which is this little thing. This. I bought the bag especially so you could see her hanging there. Well, him, her, it hanging there. Tonight we're going to make one that's a bit more suitable for a man. Consulted John on this to make sure that I've got the right colours. Well, it's very difficult, isn't it, to make something from fabric for a man that he would use. So I actually really searched high and low in my stash, and I've got a couple of bits of fabric in my stash, as you know, and I think I've resolved it. So oh, Leslie says, hi all, still a bit sunny on the Suffolk coast. Oh, we'll just shove it a little bit my way, Leslie, because it's not sunny here. But I'm sure you're having a lovely time on your hollybobs. And welcome to everybody. We've got YouTube in here as well, so let me get signed into my YouTube channel. And of course, you can always watch. In fact, some of my admin team watch on both. They watch on YouTube and Facebook. Oh, hold on, let's just turn it down. That's because I've been watching, I don't know about you, but when I'm sewing, I like to watch a little bit of YouTube, and I sort of mix it and match it between nothing, actually, just nothing, and watching something on YouTube. But it's always somebody that's sewing. Sometimes I looked at something about orangutans yesterday. That was quite nice. But generally it's somebody else sewing. So yeah, so that's what I usually do when I'm up here working away, stitching away. That's exactly what I do. So I'd had the sound on, not very loud. I don't like to have too much noise going on. In fact, I sometimes prefer silence, which might surprise you all as I talk so much. So hello to Nicola and Linda as well, and Pauline on YouTube. And on Facebook we've got Mary and Tracy, Linda and Deborah, Rosemary and Louise. Lots and lots of people watching already, which is great. And when just before I came to air, 500 buddies had been downloaded. 500. You have to excuse my printing. I can never get my printer to work correctly. I've got a super duper one, but it's refusing point blank after Windows Update 10 to work. So I'm having to resort to a little bit lesser quality printer at the moment, which is fine. And to be perfectly honest, it reminds me that you don't have to print it out. I do, because I have my devices working so I can see what I'm doing. Otherwise, you could have your PDF on your laptop, your phone even, if you wanted to, and zoom in on those areas that you want to have a little bit more closer detail. But certainly when I'm doing the Making It Monday, I like to print them out and follow the pattern as it's written. I just find that I don't find it easier. For me, talking to you guys, I can look down here and make sure that I'm telling you exactly what I should be telling you, not making it up. So we're going to make Buddy. I hope you've all... Oh, Janet says the first time watching. Really looking forward to sewing more with all your help. Well, you know what? Everybody's here to help you. So well done, Janet. Congratulations on it's your first live. So I'm going to bring in my little box of tricks here because I want a pen. And I had a pen earlier. Oh, here it is. I just need a friction pen, and that was the one thing that I'd forgotten to pick out, apart from the fact that I needed a ruler. Apart from that, I'm thinking, have I got everything? And I thought I had, but I didn't. So yeah, so all of the instructions and all the cutting bits and pieces are on the pattern, so you don't need to download it. Now, if you are new like Janet, and I'm sure Janet knows where to get the pattern from, but just in case, go to LizzyCurtis.com, go to the shop, just click on the shop tab, and it'll either go down your page with a list of all departments, or go up your page with a list of all the departments, and you pick out MIM patterns. Go in there and you'll find, well, there's 42 that are numbered, but actually there's 43 patterns in there now. And the first one is always the most recent. So top, well, I'm going to say top left, but it might actually not be top left. But it's certainly I'm thinking now, is it or isn't it? Depends whether you're looking on a PC, a big device, or whether you're looking on your phone. But 42, no, 43 is what you're after. 43. Goodness me, because see, the weeks are going so quickly, I lose track. 43 is what you're after, and it's called Buddy. And actually, it's a super little make. I've got this attached to a zip here. I've got an inside zip on Amelia, and it's perfect for hanging Buddy. Now, obviously, Buddy would go inside the bag, but photography and for you seeing now, I have to hang it over the edge so you can see. And it's quite a nice little make. It's not enormous, and maybe in the photo you might have thought it was quite a big thing, but it's not. It's to carry earbuds. Now, I've recently treated myself to the ones that come in the little case. I'll show you in a sec. And I'm always losing them. I've had them probably 6 months, and I've used them probably 3 times, because that's the only times that I've found them. Sometimes you see, if it's in your handbag, you can see a green light or a red light, whichever. But you can see a light because they come on when they're connected to your phone. So I know, the technology does my head in, but they're really useful if I want to listen to something and John's watching football, that's that type of thing, and great in the motorhome as well. So because I kept losing them, I thought what I need a little pouch to pop them in, but something quite stylish, quite fun, and something you could perhaps adapt to whatever you want. So I've got a little popper on there, and inside are I don't really want to put them anywhere near my phone, but those are my earbuds. Now, of course, I've called it Buddy. It's for your earbuds because that's what I created it for, but it could be for anything. It could be for those little things that you want to make sure that you can get to quite quickly. You've got to understand that it's got an open bit here, can you see? So it's not secure. So if you wanted to put like a coin in there for your shopping trolley, that type of thing, I'm afraid it probably will come out unless you put poppers here. I don't know. I made it for the earbuds, but I'm sure you can adapt it. If you've got like the earbuds that have a wire hardwired into your device, roll them up and put them in here. In fact, it's better off rolled up and protected than not. Maybe it's a little tiny shopping bag that you want to make sure you always have, and that can go in there as well. So there's going to be lots of things that you can use them for. I'm not going to tell you what John's going to use his for because it's personal. Oh no, that sounds terrible. I'm not going to tell you. But anyway, I mean, you could put your drugs in here if you have to take drugs every day and medication. So they could go in there. But be aware, you need to keep them in the packets because it's an open side. Okay, it was deliberately made. Like I said, it was designed for my earbuds. I'm a bit selfish in as much that I've designed it for me. Good idea, hey? Well, if you can do it and get away with it, why not? And of course, my little earbuds sit perfectly in there. Okay, so that's what we're going to make. So it's got a snap fastener. If you want to do a press stud or a piece of Velcro, then by all means do that. If you want to put a button and a buttonhole, how fabulous that you'll do a buttonhole. I've avoided doing them on the Mims so far, but be aware that I will be bringing in buttonholes as we're going through, because I know it's pretty much the Abigail says we don't want to know about John's personal item. It's not so bad. Wish I hadn't said that now. Yeah, so you can put a snap in there. Do buttonholes. We're going to do those later in the year as the same people keep watching me. I know you're making the projects. I know how well you're progressing if you are a beginner. So at some point we are going to do buttonholes like this, waggy finger. So watch out for that. But we're using a little swivel clip as well. You don't have to. If you want to use a piece of cord and tie that to the inside of your bag, look, I do that. you take that and make it yours. Okay, you don't need my permission. Don't ask me, or can I use a snap fastener, or can I use a piece of Velcro, hook and loop, whatever. Do whatever you like. Okay, I am absolutely not your judge and jury. So but that's what we're going to make. So we're going to have to crack on. So don't forget, go to lizzycurtis.com, go to the shop, go to the MIM patterns and download from there. A little bit later this evening, this YouTube that we're doing at the moment, that will go onto the site as well. So if you forget this time next week how to make buddy, you can look back at the video. So those are always there as well. Don't forget to look at all the other patterns as well and see if there's any others that you might like, and by all means, you know, obviously you can download those too, pop them into your cart. So there we are. So there's buddy. Like I said, all the instructions are written on the pattern. So if we have a little look and see what we've got here. So I've got my friction pen ready. Just get all my debris out of the way. You'll see the pattern here. This is what you'll download. And that's what we're making just there. And you can see mine's hooked over there, and it's actually hanging on a loop. So if you've got any questions at all, and I don't answer them, you know, now, if you like, please ask on the Facebook or the YouTube, because my fabulous admin team are there. I can see them commenting already, and they will certainly tell you what's what if you ask a question. Okay, sometimes I can't always see. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments, so I can't always see what you're saying. Oh, I tell you what, we haven't got the front camera going. So let's just put that in. Oh, there we are. Right, so obviously you've got all the instructions there of what you need to cut, and that's quite clear. The only thing I haven't done in advance is the little tab, but I'll do that. So the first thing we're going to do is you'll have cut out your pouch fabric, and you'll have stabilized it if you're following along with me, and then we're going to sew the corners. We're going to box those corners. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to just pop my pattern to one side. So this is the fabric that John chose, which I think is really quite nice, and actually I think it reminds me a little bit of Tim Holtz. I don't know if it is Tim Holtz fabric. I don't think it is. I might be wrong, but it's quite old, but it seemed quite perfect. So this is our outer back and front, and the outer has been stabilised. The lining has not. So I'll put those to one side. Get them just there. This is the flap, and it's a double flap here, and I'll talk to you about this as we go along. And it's been stabilised just with a very soft cotton interfacing, Veseline G700. I'm sure in the States there's an equivalent to that. That cotton interfacing, okay? And then we've got the pouch part, which is this part here. So I'm just going to flip that over. It's got stabiliser on it already. So I'm going to use my friction pen. It's a little bit poorly. It's got a plaster on it to hold it together, but it works beautifully. So the first thing in the pattern, this is not the best ruler in the whole wide world. Let me just see if I can find my other little one. I've got so many rulers. Have you? I've got small rulers that you can shake a stick at, but I use them all differently. Oh, Jane says the equivalent is SF101. Oh, thank you very much, Jane. I will try to remember that. I know I won't, but I'm being honest. Right, so you're measuring 3/4 of an inch into all of your corners, and if you've got a ruler like mine, it actually helps you because it's got a little V there. I'm not sure you'd be able to ever see that. So all we're going to do is just draw around each corner 3/4 of an inch. So we'll get that done. And I like to do this with you. I like to think that you'll be stitching and cutting along with me. If you lose track and you can't keep up with me for whatever reason, you know, the dog wants to go out, the husband wants a cup of tea, or whatever the reason might be, you're not to worry, because the video is always available for you. So there's my 4 corners drawn. So now we're just going to cut those out. and try and be accurate with these. I would say scissors is better than a rotary cutter because you don't want to go beyond the corner, not really. And like I said, the stabiliser is a lovely soft cotton, so it's not going to be too stiff. The reason why you don't want it to be too stiff is this is quite a fiddly little make. It's once you've made one, you'll be fine, but there is a little fiddly bit which might put you off the whole thing. I don't think it should, but it might. just sort of warning you. Okay, so now we've got our corners ready to go. I'm going to switch you to the needle cam. I'll just bring my machine in. I've got so many gadgets and gizmos going on here. Let's get rid of a few things. I've got my needle cam working today, so let's switch over to needle cam. There we go. There, that's not too bad, is it? Let's see. If every time I do this, I shift it. I get it all set up, ready, and then I start shifting it. Just make sure it's switched on. Yeah. Let's move this out the way. My little mousey. Right. So, like I say, there's my piece. I am a bit zoomed in, but I wanted to do that. And you can see all the corners have been cut off. Okay, and because I drew it on the cotton, it's lovely and easy to see. So what we're going to do, Emma says needle cam is back. Yeah, well, do you know what, these are so temperamental, these cameras. Right, so what we're going to do, right sides together. Let me try and get it in so you can see. Right sides together, and you're just going to pinch those corners, and you're going to stitch 1/4 inch. Hold on, let me try and get this so it sits nicely. You're going to stitch 1/4 inch along here and just take it off at a V. I'll do them and then I'll show you. So you're just pinching all of those together, 1/4 inch across there at all 4 corners, okay? And I bought some really special lights. They don't make, look, can you see? They don't make a jot of difference. In real life, they're really bright, but they're absolutely not when I'm using my cameras and my lighting. They just totally insignificant. Oh, lighting is my absolute bugbear. Without burning down the national grid, I don't know what else. I don't know what you're supposed to do, I'm sure. Oh dear. So, all 4 corners. So we've done 3. See how quickly it comes together. And then we're doing 4. Oh, I tell you what I didn't do, and this is important, guys. I didn't press my piece in half. So I will do that. Even though I've actually stitched the corners, I will do that. So there's my piece done, and if I turn it, you'll see what that looks like. Okay, so yours should look something like that. Looks like a little boat, doesn't it? Right, so what I'll do is I'll just bring you back to the overhead, and then we'll press this in half because it's really important that we do that, and I shouldn't have missed that step out. So because I've already stitched mine, and maybe you've done yours, it doesn't matter. Bring your short ends together, wrong sides together, okay? And just, you could put a pin there to make sure you hold it. Just finger press that. Let's get it lined up nicely. Finger press that out. It'd been easier if we'd pressed that before, and then get your iron on it and press that nicely. Make sure that, again, and if I were you, I would try and, let me get that out the way so you can see. I would try and get these corners, these pieces here, to be nesting, you know, like you would if you were doing patchwork. Try and nest them, and that way they sit really nicely together. Do you see how sharp that is? And just make sure, like I said, that your you've done your fold. There we go. So just bring your fingers round and move those little darts, if you like, those boxed corners, so they nest. See, if you get this bit right, everything then sits beautifully. I want you to have a look at that. Let me get rid of the iron. Looks a little bit lonely there, doesn't it? But you can see what that looks like now. You can see what that looks like. You've got a little pouchy bit. But what we're going to do is, just so nothing wriggles, we're going to baste around the whole piece. Obviously not the fold. The fold is the top of your pouch. So the fold is here, look. The fold is here. But what we're going to do is we're going to baste from this corner here all the way around the raw edges to this corner here, this top corner here, and just make sure that your layers are sitting perfectly on top of each other. Okay, so we'll baste that. So let's go back to needle cam. Bring that in. There we go. Sorry if I keep moving it around. It's a weird old thing, because you set it up, then it's like the magic fairies come along and move it. Now basting, you're basting about 1/8 of an inch away from these raw edges, and you can increase your stitch size to 3 if you want to make it quicker. And you're just carefully going around your raw edges. And where before you had a nice rectangle, nice boxy rectangle, you kind of end up with a curved piece. And that's fine, even though you're going to stitch it into a rectangle with the base. I'm just getting my darts of my box corners nested. It actually works, so you're not to worry if you think, well, that's a bit odd. It does work. So there we are. Let's just get that in there for you. And so if I turn this the right way round, that's the bottom, obviously. You can see how near to the edge I've stitched in. And you can trim, you know, if you've got little dog ears sticking out there, that's fine. Just trim those away so everything's nice and neat. And then if we turn it around, you can see, and also you can see that I haven't stitched across. You can see. So I'll just trim those threads away. Okay, so let's go back to, let me go back to the front just for a moment, just so it's a little bit of a better view. I'm sorry if you keep seeing my arms and everything. It's only me that does this, so you have to put up with it. I know you do, I know you do. Don't shout at me, I know you do. So there we are. So we've made the bottom of our little pouch. Isn't it sweet? So going by the instructions, must do that. We've now got to make the little tag, the little tab that takes our swivel clip. Now you could just make this, you just could make it into a loop and then loop a piece of ribbon onto it. Obviously I'm going to loop my swivel clip onto it, but that's up to you. Okay, you adapt to what best suits you. I always say that because, you know, we're all different. So I'm just going to put you back on the side camera again. I'll bring my machine in so it doesn't look so weird. And let's get you in there. That's it. So with your piece, your tab piece there, we're going to fold these long edges into the center, and then we'll fold again. So if I do it on the bed of my machine, you'll just about see it. So you could, if you wanted to, fold it in half so you've got a crease line. Okay, you can see that, and that crease line is obviously in the center of your fabric. So then I can bring, and this is a tiny piece. Now I want you to consider having what they call a leader and a follower piece of fabric, because this is so narrow. It's a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, but it's so narrow it could get kind of sucked into the works of your machine. So there's my 2 long raw edges into the middle. If I turn that around, you can see that. That's those there, like that. And then we're going to fold it again. And even though it's a tiny little piece, I want you to top stitch it beautifully down both sides. I know I asked the impossible. My top tip here is to start a little way in. So I'm not starting right at the edge. I'm starting about 1/8 of an inch in and gone down to the bottom, probably, well, 2 stitches. I'm still on 3, so let's take it down. Oh no, I better keep it up. Stitch the other side, then I'll turn it down. Come down the other side, break my thread, turn my stitch down, and let me show you what that looks like. There, look. Can you see? Can you see where I started as well? I'll just see if I'm pointing in the right place. I started just that little bit in. I know I've got threads there, I'll cut those. And of course it means that you're going to catch that in your seam allowance. You won't see that, but it just helps it not being sucked down into the workings of your machine. So all I'm going to do is just trim those threads. And for those that are interested, I'm using a Juki. It's a very it's a semi-industrial machine. It's pretty basic. All it does is a straight stitch. Does the most amazing free motion. I can't do buttonholes or anything. It hasn't got a zigzag. So do you see? Even if I've snipped that, that's perfectly fine. And all I'm going to do then is just attach my swivel clip. So I'm just threading it through. I'm bringing it back on itself, and I'm just literally going to stitch these two together. And all I do is I put the needle right in the center of that short edge there. I never start, if I get my scissors, I never start here. I always start here. Do 1 stitch and then come back 2 stitches and do a little bit of back stitching there just to hold it all together. So with that in mind, in fact, I'm just going to turn that the other way around. So I just position it under my needle. I haven't got my foot down yet. Don't know if you can see. All I'm doing is popping my needle into the 2 pieces of fabric. If I swivel it around, you might see what that looks like. So put my foot down now. Then I'm going to go 1 forward, 2 back. Just take it easy because it's the tiniest little piece of fabric, and break my threads. Let's just snip that and make it tidy for you to see. That way your layers will stay on top of each other. Not too bad. If you started right on the end, it could be that you'd shift your layers and they wouldn't sit on top of each other. So it's a good little tip to put them under the machine, put your needle in, then put your foot down. Jennifer says she loves my thumb ring. There's a story behind that, Jennifer. I've had this design ring for years and years and years. Oh, I can't even remember. 30 years maybe. And I saw it somewhere on a man as a wedding ring, and I loved it. And when I went to see about having it made, I needed a heavy duty gold. It's not very expensive. I can't even tell you how much, not very expensive, but I needed a heavy duty gold because it was going on my thumb. Now, years ago, I was a lot slimmer in those days, and one day I was washing my hands and the ring came off and went down the plug hole, seriously. So I had to have another one made. So this is number 2. But yeah, it's a Celtic design. I really love it. I never ever not have it on. So we're also now going to stitch this onto our, we call it the body, the main piece of the fabric. So this is the one that's been stabilized, and this is what I've been calling the outer in capital letters. And there's always a reason why I put things in capital. I want you to listen. So I'm just going to fold this in half and give it a squidge. Is this angle okay for you guys? Otherwise I can go to the overhead for these bits and bobs. So I'm giving it a squidge, so when I open it up I've got the dead center of the middle, but I'm putting my loop and my swivel clip on the right side, so it's going like that onto my outer piece, but it's on the right side, okay, the right side. So it's not the lining, this is the outer fabric, it's the stabilized piece, and this is the right side. I'm only repeating that because I want to always make sure that you know exactly what I'm doing. So all I'm doing is basting it, but I'm making sure that it's a really good strong baste. Let me just cut that thread. There we go. So look, that's what yours should look like. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to stitch the pouch on. Now this is where it will get a little bit tricky for you. First of all, we're going to baste it on. Okay, we're going to baste it. And all that means is where we have stitched, let me hold this so you can see it. Do you see where we've stitched that line about 1/8 of an inch in? We're just literally going to stitch over the top of that, and we're going to stitch it so it's I'm going to say right sides together, but we've both got right sides, haven't we? It's hard to say exactly what I mean. We're going to stitch it like this. So if I bring it in, whoops, over like this. So there's my clip. Please make sure your machine doesn't catch that. And we're just literally going to just pop it over the top, make sure that the bottom is fixed first, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. I'll go on the overhead for that. And then we do the sides. There's a reason why I'm telling you that. You know, there's always a reason for these things. So let's just go on the overhead camera, and then we can see what I mean by that. So let's just bring that in, with the scissors. Hopefully you can see. So if we look at the picture on the pattern, that's what you've got so far. The next part, it says baste the pouch onto the right side of the outer piece. This is the right side of the outer piece. That's my lining, okay? So all you're doing is laying your piece over the top. And if I were you, this is not very often you'll see me do this, I would get a pin and I would place it, and I will come in a little bit closer so you can see this. And in actual fact, the picture is fairly good. Oh, well, no, maybe you can't see it so clear on the picture, but I'm going to show you. And this holds everything together, so when you come to put the lining on, it sits still. So I want you to have a look at this, and what you're going to do is you've got seams here and here where you've boxed your corners, okay? And you're going to line this up with the, can you see this is the outer edge of my body piece, my outer piece. And you're going to start stitching just this side, my side of this dart here. You're going to stitch from there to there, just to secure that bottom piece in place. Then what you're going to do is that you're going to bring this around. And this is what I mean about being a little bit fiddly. You're going to bring this around, you're going to perhaps pin it, and then you're going to stitch from just beyond the fold of the pocket, the pouch, along here and join up where you started stitching before, okay? And it actually makes a curve. We're not going to do a pointed corner, it makes a little curve. So you're going to stitch from there to there first, and then you're going to stitch from there round to here. By all means carry on, and then you're coming back up here, and you will attach your pouch. Right, so let me pin it. And it's a good idea if you pin. You're not hearing me say this very often because I'm not a pin person, but if you pin it, you'll be able to see what it looks like. Let's just wiggle that. Let's get another pin. So when we look at it, that's what it looks like, okay? So you're going to, but I want you to stitch this bit first. just to make sure that those darts are in the right place. And then you're going to come down here, and then you're going to go up there. And like I say, you're not going to be doing a pointed corner. You are following the curve of your pouch, and all you're doing is basting that in place. Okay, so hopefully that's made some sense. Let's just go to the side camera again and just bring that over. Okay, so let's get you in there. Right, so let's do the bottom bit first. So you're going from the boxed seam. It's hard for me to explain. It's the boxed corners that you've done. So you're going from that seam. So put your needle in, take your pin out, little back stitch, because although it's a baste, you want it to be secure, and you're following the line that you've already stitched. I'm going to take that other pin out. You know I don't like pins. So you're just following what you did before. Go up to that boxed line, do a little back stitch, and take your needle out. Okay, so all I've done is I've gone along the bottom, and if I was to turn that round, look, you can see that's all I've done. So now I'm going from the fold of the pouch. So look, if I put my finger in, you can see that's the pouch. So I'm going from the top here down to this corner, just to absolutely secure it in place. And again, I should take my pin out. I don't like pins, they're very dangerous. For me, anyway. I've got stories about pins. Now, don't forget, you are not doing a sharp 90-degree angle. Okay, you're doing it's going to be rounded. Let me just show you on a close-up. Can you see? Let's get it so you can see. So you can see the outer is still square. You can see that there. But you can see that the pouch part is actually rounded. Okay, so now I'm going to go up the other side. I'm going to start off where I left off, which is at the boxed corner. Put my needle in, securing it. It means I'm hands free. And then I'm just going to ease it around. And it's, like I said before, it's a rounded corner. So I don't want any of you to think that you should have done a square corner, because you absolutely won't have done. So look, if I just bring that in there like that, you can see we've got that front pouch done, and that's what the corners look like. I think that's pretty clear, don't you? I'm hoping so anyway. Right, so while you're there, let's do the flap. And the flap is one long piece. You're going to fold it right sides together, and you're just going to stitch down the two long sides. You're leaving this side. I could get my right and my left mixed up. You're leaving this side open. Okay, so you're doing down the two long sides, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, can I suggest you do a generous 1/4 inch? Because this has to sit on top of the pouch, or the top edge, and you want it to fit. So you still got a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You'll see as we do it. I'll go on the overhead. So there's my two long seams stitched. You can see that perfectly well. So let's just go on to the overhead, and then you can see the next stage. Okay, are you all okay? Are you having a nice time? Are you keeping up? Is anybody stitching along with me? Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes when I go onto the Making It Monday group, which reminds me, do join the Making It Monday group, I see them made within sort of 10 minutes after finishing, which is amazing. So this is what we've created. So if we look at the pattern, this is where we're at. We've just done this. I'm going to snip into my corners near my fold. So these are the raw edges here. This is the fold, and I'm going to snip into here, nice long snips. And then the next, excuse me, lick my finger. The next one is that we're going to attach it to the top of our pouch, okay? So let's trim this back. So just mind your stitches, because obviously it's a vulnerable point, and I like to do a nice long cut. Yeah, I keep forgetting that camera's quite near to me today. And the other side as well. Sorry, I was sighing there. Now, just while I've got you, while I remember, because obviously, you know, I don't remember a thing, after I've finished this Facebook Live with you all, I'm going to be live with Abigail on her Sewing with Abigail page. Get Sewing with Abigail, Abeygale, and we're going to be talking to you about our big event next year in Birmingham. We're having a major event where you're all can come. There's going to be tickets available. Obviously, I know it's going to be too far for some people. I know it's going to be difficult for you to attend. Oh, I can't find my pokey tool. But just bear in mind, I'm just trying to find, where's my pokey tool gone? Oh dear. Just bear in mind that wherever you live, unless you live next door, it is going to be a long way to come. But I always say, if it's something or somewhere that you want to go, then you'll find a way of getting there. It's going to be on a Sunday. There's going to be, obviously you can have trains and well, some people are flying across to join us, which is just fantastic. Amazing. I wonder where my pokey tools are. That's funny. Oh, strange. yeah, obviously they're around somewhere. How very odd. Oh, I know what I did. I did some photo shooting and I needed the pokey tools. Right, okay. Yeah, so it doesn't matter where you live in the world, maybe, then you can find a way of getting there. It's going to be the most amazing day. We've got so many activities for you. We've got competitions, we've got giveaways, we're going to have bingo, we've got sewing projects as well, we've got kits to give you. Abigail's going to have a pop-up shop. It's going to be absolutely awesome, and the tickets are going on sale possibly after the Facebook Live event. I really don't know, but I'm going to be joining Abigail to do that straight after this, so I know that I'm on a bit of a time schedule here. Right, so I've ironed the flap, you can see that, nicely pressed, it's lovely and hot. And what we're going to do is, just get this out of the way, we're now going to attach it to the top of our pouch. So just a quick reminder, that's what our pouch looks like. Looks like a little clog with the tab and the swivel clip at the top. And then we're going to put our flap over the top, okay? It looks far too big, but there's a reason for that. Let me just show you the one that I made. The reason is that because it's long, it's almost as big as the body, it means that my earbuds can't come out. Look, you can see them, but they're not going to come out, and it makes it a nice sleek look. Okay, if I'd done it a narrow bit here, for me that wouldn't have worked, but you know, if you want it shorter, go shorter. If you want to extend, for instance, you could extend this part. Oh, I've just realised I've done it quite different to that, haven't I? Anyway, if you wanted to extend this part, by all means extend it and bring it over, but think about where you're going to put your swivel clip. That's why I've done it in two parts. But when you actually pop this on, what I want you to consider, so we could tuck it in the pocket just so it's out of the way, is that this is going to sit in the middle. I'm going to put my hand there, so you, in fact, let me use the lining so you can see. So I want you to look and see, that's a bit better, that is a good 1/4 of an inch away from that raw edge, which is exactly what it should look like. If you have it any less than that, you might get it caught in the seams when we start stitching, so that's where it should be. Okay, and we're going to baste along there to hold all those layers together. I mean, I've tucked that in just so it's out the way, but you can have it so it looks like that. Okay, it looks like that. And this is a make, and I know I always take my time, but this is a make that you can actually do in about 15 minutes. I promise you, 15 minutes and you can have this made. But I have to talk it through very carefully so everyone understands every single part of it. For those of you that have been stitching for a gazillion years like me, you'll know how to do this. But I do this for the beginner stitchers that have no idea. There we are. So I've got a lot of loose threads. But can you see what that looks like? So you've got a good 1/4 inch seam allowance on these sides here. Okay. So let's go back to the overhead again. Sorry, I'm flicking you around a little bit tonight. And we're going to trim our threads. Just get everything neat now. Just you can trim those corners off if you want to. I don't think it's necessary. There's one here, look. So just trim those off. There we are. In fact, I will tuck that little pocket in there, like that. Okay, so this is the bit where you need to pay attention. My pocket's a bit wonky actually, but I'm sure John won't mind. So we're going to put the lining on now. And when you put the lining on, can you see the depth of that pouch? You're going to think, well, how on earth? You know, we start looking at it and it's like, okay, you got to squidge it. Look, guys, you got to squidge it. All of that will squidge flat, okay? That's why we've used the soft interfacing. And you're going to stitch that, put this right sides together onto your pouch. Now, in the pattern, I want you to look at this. This is very important. Place lining pieces right sides together with the outer piece. Right, we've done that, look. This is the right sides together. So all around, leaving the pouch end open. This is the pouch end. Okay, this is the pouch. It's hard to see, I know, but this is the pouch. Put my hand in there. Pouch. Sew all around, leaving the pouch end open. Do not sew across the end with the pouch. Okay? Right. So if we were to get the pins, let's put this on. Now I want you to match, even though we've done a rounded corner here, I want you to match your corner. It won't make a jot of difference, but it's a good start. Pop a pin in, if you can. That's it. These are the fine ones. I still love them. Bring your lining piece up to the top, pop a pin in. You're going to stitch along the top where your swivel clip tab is, yeah? Pop a pin in. Okay, you're coming around the top, you're coming down this other side. I could draw on this if you want. It's just so you know exactly, because if you don't do this right, guys, it will not work. It will not work. So we're coming down to the bottom and hold on, let me get my pin in there. That's it. Okay, let me get my pins out of the way. So you're going to start here. You're going to stitch, let me just try and mark this, all the way round like this. Okay, let's just do this. Oops. Whose idea was this? Whose idea was this? It's a good idea. It's a brilliant idea. Brilliant. Okay. Right, can you see that? So this is the pouch end. This is the end with the swivel clip. We're going to start at this corner here, at the bottom of the pouch, up, across and down. Okay? And if you look, oops, hold on. If you look, that's the pouch in there. Up here, and you can feel it. That's the swivel clip. Happy? Hopefully. I know it's tricky. I know it's tricky to keep up. Right, let's just bring you in and we'll stitch all around that. So you're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So let's get rid of the pins. Forget about the fact that you've got a rounded corner. Just be aware that the pouch is there and make sure your pouch is flat. But other than that, I want you to completely ignore it. Okay? It's got stuck there now. Why is that? Don't know why. It's my machine, I think. So up to the top. So this is why we basted all the pieces together, because you're only dealing with just one piece of fabric now. So over the tab to the second corner, make sure you're going over the edge. So when your needle goes in that last bit, you'll feel it go over the edge of the flap, and the flap is coming all the way down. I just want to make sure that it's not in the way of my stitching. I'm going to push it out of the way a little bit. That's why my machine doesn't like it. My machine can be temperamental when it comes to thicknesses. Thicknesses is the wrong thing to say. If there's something there that's making the foot lopsided, it doesn't like it very much. So I kind of have to persuade it that it does. Your machine will probably be perfectly fine. Okay, so I've gone all the way around. It's not very good stitching, but I'll show you. So the end there is where my pouch bottom is, in there. Okay? And I've gone all the way around. Now, of course, you can, I'm going to just move the camera. Of course, you can snip your corners now if you want to. But please remember, this is kind of like a pressure point. So just be aware that you don't want to take too much away. There we go. Let's just move all me bits and bobs. So that's what you've got. So now just turn through. And there's a lot going on, so it might take a moment. And for goodness sake, make sure you've done a back stitch. And hopefully I haven't stitched my flap into the seam. Just give it time. If I had my pokey tool handy, I'd be using that for sure. I've got all my forceps. Might got those handy, but I think we're okay. Okay, so pull it out so it looks like this. Okay, looks a bit wonky, but it's not. And you'll think, well, hold on a minute, hold on, this is rubbish. Look at this is rubbish, right? But what I want you to do, first of all, you're going to stitch this. Okay, I won't do it now, but you're going to just turn your lining fabric over, glue it, stitch it, but make that turning gap nice and neat. Okay, stitching along there. But what you're going to do is you're going to put your hands or your fingers in the pouch and you're going to push it all back on itself. Okay, so your raw edge, if you choose not to stitch it, is now inside. Let's just poke that out a bit more. So we've turned it through, so there's my lining. I could do with just making that a bit better, but hold on, let's get a pin to it. Just spend a moment. I might get moans from John if it's not right, mightn't I? That's a bit better. So once you've turned it through, the raw edge turning gap is in here, is inside here. So it means that everything is super neat. Okay, and that is our pouch. But we need to top stitch. Could you see how that works like that? To enable that to stay absolutely gorgeous, we're going to top stitch across here. Top stitch 1/4 inch if you want. It means that that flap stays in that direction. If I didn't do that, look, it just won't stay. Well, it probably will with a really good press. But we're going to pop it under the machine. I'll do this on the front because... let's just transition you across. You could, if you wanted to, use maybe your zipper foot or your smaller width foot, so it's not because obviously you've got to be aware of how many layers you've got going on that top seam there. This top seam here, where the swivel clip is, but 1/4 of an inch is fine. So pop it down. Like I say, it's quite a few layers. Do a good back stitch. To be honest, give it a press. I do like a good press. Okay, so what that's done is that I've got a few threads. I do have a lot of threads with this machine, even though it breaks the stitches. Right, so we've got a nice top stitch bit. Now look, see how that flap is staying down. It's doing what it should be doing. But you'll also notice that it's long. It goes over the top of the pouch. So what you want to make sure is, I mean, with the earbuds, they don't fill the pouch. Don't forget to stitch that turning gap. I'm not sure John will be treated to stitch turning gap. I'm sure he won't mind. But what you want to do, and I say this in the instructions, lay this flat on your desk and then pop that right over the top. So your flap, although you've got a little bit of height there, it's flat to your pouch. It's very important. And all we need to do then is put the snap in. So if we go on the overhead again, let's just do that. I haven't got the front camera in, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. And just bring in our implements. We've got to choose a colour. What do you think? Maybe that grey there. Seeing as how it's for John. So find the centre. Well, you know what? I would mark this. So I would flatten this down, mark it here, and then just fold that back and mark it here. Eyeball it. By all means, measure it. By all means, measure it. I think we were right with that. Hold on, it might have been. I've got so many little marks on this fabric, I'm doubting myself now. So I think it was there. Let's just, sorry, bear with. Let's make it, yeah, actually I was about right. I think that'll be fine. I'm faffing. Now my silicone mat will go in there, because obviously I don't want to damage my fabric. I'm just putting my hole in there. One little turn of my screw punch sorts that out. And again with this, just one screw. You don't have to go mad making a great big hole. Obviously don't forget your fronts and backs. So, and you need obviously this gadget here. So the button you want to put on the front, okay, and I always put the sticky out bit. I know male and female. Somebody will say to me, Lizzie, it's male and female. I am very much aware of that, but I do a sticky out bit. Give it a squidge. Make sure it's the button part in the centre is flat. And you see, that's nice and flat. If it isn't flat, do it again. And then let's pop it through here. So the button goes to the inside and the socket goes to the outside. And if you get your 2 nails and push that down the spike, it'll stay there, look. It'll stay there. It's not done, but it'll stay there. Pop your implement in there. Give it a squidge. I always use 2 hands, but you don't need to. That wasn't a very good squidge, so I'm doing it again. Give it a squidge. It's a bit better. Okay. Practice makes perfect. Please, please, please don't tell me you can't do this. If you've got problems with your hands or your wrists, then maybe you need to go and ask somebody to do it for you. But it doesn't take, I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know. And there we are, there's our little pouch made. Now if we were to get the one in that I made, you can see that's been pressed. It looks a lot better. There's my little earbuds. And after a little press, there we go, let's get my snap in the right place. There we go. So that sits perfectly. Got a slightly longer tab on that. Doesn't make any difference. It's going to do exactly the same job. So there we are. That is our buddy. That is our buddy. So we've got two now. One for me, one for John. Except he can't have my earbuds, so I'm going to have to make sure I move them over. Needs a press, which I shall do afterwards. Also, we need to hand stitch that turning gap. You know it's going to be inside. You're not going to see it. You're going to forget about it. So, look, see, it's gone green. Got to move it out the way. But what you can do is, obviously I've finished it, but what I can do is just turn that pocket inside out again, and that turning gap will be on the outside. You can just give it a quick hand stitch or a glue. And there we are, it's finished. Okay, thank you so much for watching me again. It's been an absolute treat to be in your sitting rooms or wherever you are this evening. Thank you for joining me on Facebook, and thank you from YouTube as well. I haven't, oh, Pauline says she's been attempting to sew along. Oh, that's great. You've had me on the TV. Oh, it's a little bit close on the TV. I put a lot of layers on, we're all right. And so don't forget to join me on Abigail's page in about 15 minutes, Sew with Abigail. We would love to see you at La La Land next year, 15th of May at the NEC in Birmingham. And like I said to you before, we're all coming from a distance. We're all not, I don't live next door to it. I live, I don't know, maybe 100 miles, 100, I've no idea. Let's say 100 miles. It's a good couple of hours drive. We've got people flying in from Northern Ireland, Jack and Jill. We've also got Jackie and Karen coming from the north of England, and Nicola as well. They're coming from all over the place. So don't think distance is an object when you consider what a fantastic day we're going to have, and you'll go home with some gorgeous projects and some goodie bags, and maybe you'll have won something as well in the games. So yeah, do please book your ticket. We rely on you for that. It would be absolutely wonderful. So join me on the Facebook Live that Abigail's going to do at 8:15. If not, and this is obviously live, so if you're not watching this live, you'll have missed it anyway. But you can go to her page and watch it. And I will see you all again next Monday. I'm just trying to think. My gold members, I'll see you on Friday this week. And then